My Sons of Anarchy review was a milestone in the history of this channel. It remains by far my most viewed video, was my first video to ever pass 10,000 views, and one of only two to continue growing in views consistently well after its debut. And I'm of course very thankful for that. I certainly don't think it's my best video. Personally, I'm partial to these three, but the numbers don't lie. People love Sons of Anarchy, and they should. It's one of my absolute favorite shows, and one of the very few TV series reviews I've done that wasn't comedy or a cartoon. But with a highly viewed video comes people asking you to do a follow-up. One show people kept asking me to review was Mayans MC, which I haven't seen yet. But that show is not over yet, and I don't like reviewing shows before they end. I like reviewing things in their entirety. But the second most common request I got was to review The Shield, a show that has many, many connections to Sons of Anarchy. And to those of you hoping for my take on The Shield, well, I finally watched it. And it's good TV. Will I do a full review on it in the future? Maybe, but I don't think I'm going to do another long TV series review for a while. But one thing that I can do that I think would be fun is to compare and contrast the two shows. It's pretty interesting. The style and writing in both shows is very different, but so many of the same people worked on both of these shows, acted in both shows, and there are so many references to The Shield in Sons that if you've seen both shows, you just can't help but compare them. And people do. On Reddit. No one has done it yet on YouTube. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm smiling right now. So this versus video, which will be my first ever, is going to be point-based. The criteria are just my own personal categories on what makes good TV. And in the end, a winner will be picked. Or will they? Just kidding, there will be a winner. So here it is. Two shows bonded by cast, crew, and writers. Two sister shows turned enemies. The Shield versus Sons of Anarchy. And I'm sure I don't need to say this, but there are going to be major fucking spoilers for both of these shows. Originality. Let me perform an experiment. Name a famous show where the main characters are cops. Oh, would you look at that? Now name a famous show where the main characters are bikers. Huh. Interesting. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Dialogue. I don't think that there's any argument that Sons is the cheesier of the two shows. This does not mean that it's automatically the worse of the two, but this is going to cost it some categories. This is one of them. Probably the biggest one. The Shield simply has better dialogue than Sons.
He hung you out to IED.
Money and pussy make man do evil shit.
Is one of my favorite lines from a TV show ever. Winner, The Shield. Acting. Although the character writing is not always good in either show, the acting is. Both of these shows are incredibly well acted by people who absolutely know what they're doing. With one exception. I didn't like Maggie Siff as Tara. There are some scenes where she totally works, and there are some more where there's something missing. This is especially true later on in the show when she becomes what I like to call Hard Tara. I just didn't believe her. Winner, The Shield. Editing and cinematography. The opening to every episode of The Shield does this thing that I found kind of annoying and really had to get used to. It shows us something that's happening intercut with the intro credits. This alone would automatically make Sons the winner in this category, but Sons just also feels like a much more well-shot show, especially for FX. Sons feels like it should have been on HBO. And yes, I have taken into consideration the obvious, that The Shield is the older show of the two. However, Sons debuted the same year The Shield ended, so I'm not going to attribute all of the cinematography differences to their age. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Plot. TV shows are not written all at once. They are written season by season. And this is why I have watched far more movies than shows. Because this way of writing can create a lot of fuck-ups. Now, what I'm discussing here is not consistency or pacing. This is the overall story of each show. And in this category, Sons absolutely wins, hands down. The Shield does have an overarching story, which is the story of the strike team, but this story often takes a backseat to the slice of life stuff shown with Dutch and Claudette, or with the uniform cops. Sons might have little vignettes on the side, and it does have filler, but it also has a story that lasts the entire show from beginning to end. Even behind the temporary seasonal villains, the main villains of the show are always lurking, and they eventually get their chance to emerge by the end. It's all very Shakespearean. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Consistency and pacing. Just as the plot was an easy win for Sons, this one is going to be an easy win for The Shield. Because Sons absolutely takes a dip in seasons 3 and 4 that The Shield never seems to take. Does Sons make up for it? Absolutely. But The Shield never has that problem to begin with. It's pretty damn consistent from beginning to end, and although there are episodes I don't like, I can't think of a single season that's just meh. Winner, The Shield. Engagement. Both The Shield and Sons are very engaging shows, but I think The Shield might have this one. Again, seasons 3 and 4 of Sons are going to make it lose these types of categories. But on top of that, The Shield hooks you in from the very first episode. The moment Sons got me hooked was when Tig killed Donna. The Shield got me hooked in the first episode when Vic kills Terry. It might have some side character filler, but this show really knew how to hook me consistently. Winner, The Shield. Supporting characters. Sons has a better cast of characters than The Shield. Plain and simple. The Shield doesn't do much to make us care about a lot of these guys. The most interesting characters are the members of the strike team, Dutch and Claudette, and Aceveda. Julian and Danny didn't really stand out to me, Corinne didn't stand out to me, etc. As time goes on, The Shield kinda just gives up on its supporting cast. Take Julian, for example. In the first 3 seasons or so, Julian is given an entire story focused on the fact that he's gay and religious, and this causes a serious personal conflict within him. But then he just prays the gay away, marries a woman, and that's it. This inner conflict, which was basically his entire character in the beginning of the show, is just gone. And The Shield does this with a lot of its characters. Remember when Dutch strangled a cat to death with his bare fucking hands? Where the fuck did that go? You can't just show a character doing that and not bring it up again. The Shield does this thing where it leaves its characters hanging after major moments in their story. You can't do that. But in Sons, nearly every character on the show is memorable. I may not like all of them, but the show does do right by all of them. The main members of Sam Crow, the club's extended family, and most, not all, but most of the antagonists they face. Clay and Gemma, yeah, but come on, Tig? Bobby Elvis, Opie, fucking Stahl, even Chucky. Now, that's not to say that some of the characters in this show don't make dumb fuck unbelievable decisions, but we'll get to that. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Character consistency. I have to admit that this is perhaps the biggest issue that both of these shows have. It's more obvious in Sons. Sons has the infamous Juice heel turn, which to me was the part of the show I absolutely hated the most. This heel turn was so fucking stupid and falls apart when you give it the bare minimum of examination. There is no fucking way that the MC would have killed a guy for not knowing he was black. And if him getting kicked out even came to a vote, no one except for maybe Clay and Piney would have voted him out anyway. But they kill rats. We've seen that happen. Juice has seen that happen. He knows that. And even other stuff like the way Tara behaves during her kidnapping is pretty fucking outlandish. I just killed your girlfriend and I'm telling you that I killed her so you can get mad and kill me. Like, fucking, what are you doing? So, the Shield wins, right? Well, I have to bring up a character inconsistency in the Shield that bothers me just as much, and that is Vic ratting out Ronnie. There is no indication that this was going to happen until the second to last episode of the show. Vic spends the entire show looking out for his team. It's always the team, the team, the team. He killed a cop to protect the team. He bent over backwards to protect Lem. He only turned on Shane for killing Lem. You can't convince me that he wouldn't have bent over backwards for Ronnie. The entire story was set in motion because of his loyalty to the team. Corinne ratting on him? Totally saw that coming. The writing was on the wall the entire show for that. But him selling out Ronnie, then not giving him a chance to run? Unthinkable. There was absolutely no foreshadowing in his character that this was going to happen. It's not a moment of, I can't believe he did that. It's more like it doesn't make sense for his character that he did that. Is it as bad as those other examples I provided? Well, yeah, if you put it in the context of this is the main character at the very end of the show. The juice thing happens in the middle of the show. I was over it by the end. This came at the very end, and now I have a bad taste in my mouth. So, who's getting the point here? Neither of them. I don't think either of them deserves one. The ending. So, I have to be honest, I gotta come clean, so to speak. I did not like the ending of The Shield. I actually thought it may have even been a bad ending. I already mentioned how Vic turning on Ronnie came out of left field because there's no foreshadowing that this was going to happen. I even thought that after the confession, he would actually risk it all and help Ronnie escape. Because that's what we've been led to believe about his character this entire time. He's done this numerous times already. Wouldn't it have been appropriate if he'd tried to do this one last time and got busted? I'm not trying to say that Vic Mackey is a good guy or anything, but his one positive quality trait, one of the things an audience could truly love about the guy, is his loyalty to those he brings into the fold. Now, when those people betray him, yeah, he deals with them. But the strike team is his family. They're shown as being more like a family to him than his real family. And then, after all that, he just grabs his gun and walks out of his office job. So he betrayed Ronnie, didn't help him run, but now he's gonna leave his work and risk going to prison anyway? And for what? Because he saw some police cars and heard some sirens? He doesn't even know where the fucking crime is happening. And he's not a cop anymore. Like, what's he gonna do? Roll up to a crime scene when every cop in town hates him? Now, Sons, on the other hand, man, oh man. If you saw my full review of this show, you know I love this ending. It's one of my favorite endings to a show of all time. It wraps everything up perfectly, both the story in the show up to this point and the story of Jax Teller, and I'm sure many people would disagree, and that's fine, but for me, this is one of those endings where they fucking nailed it. Also, Vic Mackey killed him. But no, we're not talking about the same universe theory today. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Main character. Now, I'm gonna try and separate character consistency from this category, but I'm probably gonna fail. Here goes though. Both Vic Mackey and Jax Teller are incredible characters. There's no denying this. I loved watching these two almost the entire time they were on screen. They're both played by great actors who deserve all the praise they've gotten over the years. In The Shield, we, the audience, are clearly not meant to like Vic Mackey. I mean, we're meant to like him as a character, obviously, but we're not meant to like him as a human being. He's a corrupt cop who hides behind the shield and lives above the law, which is not most people's favorite category of person. The show does an excellent job of framing him as the bad guy. Now, there are certainly other bad guys throughout the course of this show, and I'm not even talking about the criminals. Aceveda is a piece of shit. Shane is a piece of shit. Kavanaugh is a piece of shit. And in some of these fights, we do want to see Vic win because it's our instinct to want the protagonist to prevail. Otherwise, the show ends. It's over. That's it. But the show never erases what he did to Terry in the first episode, nor does it ever pass the buck on his hardships. Vic Mackey creates his own misery most of the time on the Shield, and his character is never redeemed in the end, nor is it meant to be. In Sons of Anarchy, we, the audience, are clearly meant to like Jax Teller. He's a career criminal, he murders people, but Jax also spends almost the entire show being manipulated by or fighting against Clay or Gemma. He is desperately trying to get himself and the club on the right path, and his setbacks usually happen because someone else did something that fucked him over. Opie died because Tig lost his shit and accidentally killed a chick. The destructive war Jax starts with the Asians happens because Gemma made him think that they killed Tara. Jax does bad things, but he's guided into doing these bad things by the evil of others. And in the end, as I put it in my review, he seems to win the battle for his soul. He, at least to me, redeems himself by protecting his loved ones from him. This is something Vic would never want, nor would he ever deserve. Now, Vic's actions against Ronnie at the end of the show do feel absolutely out of character to me, but I'm going to do my best to remove that from this point, because I already discussed that twice already. But I can't, can I? I mean, we got the ending that we got. But even ignoring the ending, despite how intimately we get to know Vic, he doesn't really have a past. There is that one prequel episode which I thought was dumb, but Vic feels like he was just born and then joined the LAPD. Over the course of Sons of Anarchy, we know everything there is to know about Jax. We get to know his family members who've died, we get to see him interact with his family more. The vendettas he carries seem to have more weight. Vic lives in the situation he created. Jax lives in a world that he didn't create and tries the whole show to either escape it or at least to get his family out of it. Jax just feels more personal. Winner, Sons of Anarchy. Okay, so that's Sons of Anarchy 6, The Shield 4. Sons of Anarchy wins. I like Sons more than The Shield, and I know this is an unpopular opinion. Go on Reddit if you don't believe me. People seem to like The Shield way more. But even if you took away this breakdown, even if you just asked me on the street which show I liked more, my gut reaction would still be Sons. Are there things The Shield did better than Sons? Absolutely. Were there moments where The Shield would have been a better show to me if I was watching them at the same time? Yes. But as an overall experience, they might both be good TV, but Sons of Anarchy is better TV. Wait, Plebe! Hi, Joe. What about Mayans MC? Not till it ends. Well, what about Girl Meets World? Maybe someday. 10-Year-Old Tom? Why don't we wait to see if that one gets renewed? Return to Lonesome Dove? Dragon Ball Super? Camp Lazlo? Elvis 2? Joe, could you please shut the fuck? Elvis 2? Guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I have the Patreon link and a link to a comedy sketch show that I'm part of in the description. See you next time.